Hey everybody, Scout Crafter here again. It's about 20 degrees below freezing and it is cold, and everybody asks me, they say, hey, doesn't bother you living over there and with the cold and everything? And I say, you know something, not really. You get used to it after a while. So anyway, we have a nice video today. I hope you enjoy it. Today's project, we have these two pliers that we're going to talk about. I picked these up. This is a pair of Kraeuter. And these are 356. These are the 8-inch models. Remember, we did the 10-inch last week. And these ones have the handle embellishments a little bit. They're called a non-slip. You know, nothing extraordinary, but they were on there before they went to plain. And you can see also that the engraving, the stamping, isn't as deep. And, you know, this is when production started getting a little bit cheaper and stuff, but these are nickel plated, you know. So the thing with nickel plating is we want to, you know, obviously we're not going to take it to a wire brush, but we do want to get some of the shine back to it, and we're going to use a buffer with a different compound. We'll talk about that in a minute. Again, we're not going to take these apart because you can see here the way it's peened over. They put 3 different peen marks in there, and there's no reason. If you can avoid taking something apart, especially when it's tight, it works well. The only thing is we have to clean in here. We can get around that, and we can clean in between there even. You know, most of it, it's almost all accessible. We'll clean all that out and get all this out of here. That's an easy job, but it's always, if you can, to leave something original together if you don't have to take it apart. Some guys are really obsessed with taking things down to the last nut and bolt, and here's another perfect example of it. Here we have a Gripso. We're going to be doing these today. These Gripso, you remember we did the Gripso locking pliers about 2 weeks ago. This is a box joint design. You could see how that works. But what's interesting about this, you could see here that it's a parallel closing pliers. By, you know, using different positions on here, you can get it to pretty much close almost parallel. The thing is with these, the problem we have is the jaws. You can see the jaws here now. If you're going to use a parallel pliers, you pretty much want to use them on nuts. So for me, it made no sense to have these striations here. So I have another pair of these, and this one here is already, it's got Ted's name on it. Yeah, Ted. Ted put his name on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean these up. I want to get rid of these striations, and I'll show you why, because I want them as a real parallel pliers. So we're going to modify these a little bit and show you the beauty of the, and you see the, you know, the knurling on here is a little bit nicer than just the other ones. But this also has a nickel plating, and again, we don't want to damage that. Now here's another pair we don't want to take apart. First of all, it's perfect. It has no slop in it. But you see here, see how that nut is peened on those 2 points? You'll never get that back to look the same. And a lot of times when you start taking things apart like that, you can't get it back to the factory set. Especially Gripso, their tools were made not to be taken apart. So let's get working on these. First thing we're going to do is we're going to clean them up. You know, again with the soapy water and everything, get all the grease and everything out, and then we'll get to the machines. Okay, here we are in our post-wire brush evaluation. You can see we got all of it, everything that was, all the rust, the discoloration, everything out from between. Again, there's no reason when they're perfectly working fine. There's an old saying that says, if it isn't broken, don't fix it. And this is a perfect example of that. Now, we didn't even begin the lubrication process yet, but nickel is a funny finish. It's very... it's not a durable finish. I never was crazy about nickel plate. They always chip off, flake off. So you got to be very careful when you're buffing it down. You want to get that high luster, but you can't take too much off. That's why we didn't do any of the belt sanding or anything like that. We're trying to preserve the finish on these pliers and just get them back to looking great. Now, I always suggest buying the buffing wheel compound set. It comes, you know, it's a set of usually 4 brown, red, white, and black buffing compound wheels, and you can see here what they're used for. It tells you in the back, and And you can see here, the white is good for nickel-plated metals. And again, we normally always use the black for steel, but it'd be too strong for this. So we're going to go with the white rouge and try and get these up to a nice luster. Then we'll lubricate them, and then I'll demonstrate and show you how these work. And you can see what we did with the jaws. Took down all that striations, and I'll show you why we did that. Just left a little bit of, see that? Just a few lines, and it's just going to be just what I'm looking for, and I'll show you why we did that. To get out some of this, there might be some residual black compound, emery compound in there. Again, we don't want to scratch up the nickel, so using the back of an old saw, you know, the last few teeth here, you can see I've done it before. It's kind of smoothed down. We're just going to run it on here, and it'll get rid of a lot of the residual compound. And that's all it takes. And you can see here, there's it's still smooth, nothing really in there. The white compound now will take over. Now you know my favorite part. Remember what these pliers look like before we started. Okay, we are calling this project done, and you can see how nicely the polish came out. And this one's original nickel, and you could see how nice everything looks in here, and you would never know that these weren't taken apart because they were cleaned up, and that's all you needed to do with these. Let me show you why I did this particular. Now, if you remember last week we did the 356-10. These are the 10-inch Krauters, and this was a plain steel finish, and you can see we polished these up, came out very nice. And now you can see this is the nickel. Now notice the nickel compared to the polished steel. Nickel always has like a softer or more yellowish tone to it. You could see that here perfectly, and that's why I was very careful with these, because I want to maintain the nickel finish. Now, it's pretty rare to find these in a nickel finish that isn't chipped or peeled off, because just the way that, you know, that's the way nickel is. And so you can see the difference here. And I have a pair of a 5.5-inch coming, so I'll have the full set then. And that's why I did that. Let's get back to the other one. Now, the same thing with this. This is a Gripso number 10. You could see here. And they were out of San Francisco, California. And what's nice about these pliers is, like I was saying, they have a parallel closing. Now, I polished these out, but this is a nickel finish on here, so this is the best I can get without, you know, you see these scratches and stuff. That's why I like when I get a pair of pliers that's all rusted up, because I can take all this out. But if I'm going to maintain this nickel finish, I can't get rid of these, because that's just part of it, what it is, without sanding it down. And so these are parallel pliers, and they have 4 positions. You could see here, that's the 2nd position, that's the 3rd, and that's the 4th. And the parallel pliers, what's nice about them, I'll show you how they grip on a nut, but having toothed jaws like on a regular pliers, on these pliers wasn't such a great idea, because you're not going to grip round stock with it. So why would you want those toothy, they're just going to screw up the nut or fastener that you're trying to work on. So by me taking down the points of the jaws, let me show you how nice these will work. Now, I put this on the 2nd position here to show you with a gripping of how nice these parallel pliers will work on a fastener like this. Now you could see these are 3 different fasteners. You could see here I have a nice purchase on the both flats here. Very good purchase with just using that 2nd position. Here we'll go to a little larger nut here, and you could see again I have a nice purchase on a flats of the nut. And I'll take it over to the 3rd one, larger still, and again I have a nice purchase on all the flats. And you could see how the parallel pliers really help with that, and how the flat jaws also help. Having those splines in there really does nothing for the fastener. Now here we'll put it on position number 3, and you'll see we'll get a nice purchase on this size nut here. You could see over here how that would work nice on that. And then if we went up here, if we put on position number 4, we can almost get a really good purchase on here. Enough to work, but you could see how nicely that these parallel jaw pliers will work on nuts, and there's no reason to have those spines in there. So in closing, we have these two nice pair of pliers that we were able to save today, the nickel finish and everything, to keep all nice without taking them apart. So if you have some tools that you can't take apart, don't be in such a rush to take them all apart, because in reality you can get around it. And also with the nickel finish, sometimes you could save it, sometimes you can't, but we were able pretty much to save these. This is going to be a user for me, and for this one's going to go in the drawer with the other one. All right, thanks very much for tuning in. Hope you have a nice day. Take care. Bye-bye.